Space. I'm going to be presenting from the closet. And my presentation is on chapter 8, which is the chapter about memory. And I have pages 326 through 333. All right. So, researchers have actually discovered that humans process verbal information at different levels. And there are two levels: shallow processing, which is, that's the basic level, which is things like the words, letters, capitals, uncapital. And then, or like at a more intermediate level, like a word sound, just a rhyme or whatever. And then deep processing, it encodes words semantically. Like here, the connotation, definition, explanation, etc. So this chart is represents what each level is working on. So the most shallow, like I said, the capital letter. So chair is capitalized. That's your lowest level, working on that. And then, does this word rhyme with train? Brain, train, they rhyme. That's your intermediate level working. And then your deepest level is like the definition of, does it fit? The girl put the blank on the table, doll fits in there. That's your deepest level, the deep processing working. So next, we learned that new information that is not meaningful or related to past experiences, humans will have trouble processing that information. So we do not remember literal text. We remember how we encode it. Okay, so information deemed relevant to me, we remember and is processed more deeply. That's why students have such a tough time remembering if they just listen into the lecture and just take down what the professor says and not write the notes, how it relates to them or something, in a way they can remember it, whether it's rhyming or something like that. That's why they got to do that, or else they won't remember. They're not going to remember it literally. So that's a little study tip that I and fellow students need to pick up on. It's just how the brain works. So it's important to remember that we do not store memories like books. They are not, you do not remember. You can't go to a time or a memory. You can't say March 7th, 2003 and just pick up that memory. That's not how we store them. They are stored. It's complex, and each part of the brain is working to remember. Each part of the brain is in charge of remembering a certain part of that memory. So when one recalls a past experience, event, regions of your brain send input to your frontal lobes. And your right and left ones, they process different things. Your left recalls a password, and right is more visual. So it's the same memory, but different parts of your brain working. So actually, an experiment that they mentioned in the book, they removed rats, ran through a maze, and then they removed these rats a part in their brain, no matter what the part was, and the rats still had some memory of how to get through that maze. Not completely, but just taking one part of the brain does not erase the memory completely, just a certain aspect of that memory. So next, we'll talk about different parts of the brain. The hippocampus is a temporal lobe. It's a temporal lobe neural center. It's referred to as the save button for explicit memories, names, images, events. So it's temporary. So as soon as you experience something, boom, it's saved, it's right there before it's distributed out. And so like it said, memories aren't permanently there. They're, after a certain amount of time, they're shifted around your brain to the different parts, like I was mentioning in the slide before, like for like old files for storage elsewhere. That process is called memory consolidation. And sleep actually is the best time. It strongly supports memory consolidation, as the hippocampus transfers memories to the brain cortex for long-term storage. So like the more you sleep, the more hippocampus activity going on in the brain, the better your memory will be the following day. That's why sleep is so important. And sometimes we wonder, why can't we remember memories from where 1, 2, 3, 4, well, actually the hippocampus is one of the last parts of the brain to mature. So that's why we don't have too many explicit memories from the first 3 years of our life. So that's that. Now, discussing more parts of the brain, the cerebellum. It's a key role in forming and storing implicit memories. With a damaged cerebellum, people cannot develop certain conditioned reflexes. So, like associating a tone with the impending puff of air. Thus, do not blink in anticipation of the puff. So, if someone blows in your eye, you'll blink because you hear that tone. So actually, they took the cerebellum out of a bunny, and when they puffed air on the bunny's eye, it did not blink. It was still hit with the air. It like felt the air, but it could not understand the tone of what it was, so the conditioned reflex did not occur. That's the importance of cerebellum. And then also, the basal ganglia are involved with motor movement and facilitate the formation of procedural memories for skills. So when you learn how to ride a bike, you gotta think your basal ganglia. And when you blink because there's air or wind, think your cerebellum. So, okay. So the implicit system, why reactions and skills we learn in the first 3 years of our birth are still in use today. That's why this implicit system, which is what the cerebellum and basal ganglia make up, it's so important to us. So remember, there's a difference between explicit and implicit. Okay, thank you. That was chapter 8.